Tonight, back to court for the Lighthouse. Two former directors are calling for the organization to be put into receivership. Also, we dig into the backstory of the Sustainable Saskatchewan ads popping up across the province and the country. Plus, on a day to celebrate love, couples who met during the pandemic share how it affected their relationship.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Tuesday, February 14th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Good evening, and thanks for joining us. The Lighthouse in Saskatoon is back in court. Two former directors say the supported living organization needs outside help to solve its financial troubles. They've asked a Saskatoon judge to appoint an interim receiver. As Dan Zakreski reports, documents filed in court paint a troubling picture.
It was supposed to be a beacon of hope for the most vulnerable people in Saskatoon. Affordable living and a safe haven for people battling addictions. Councillor Cynthia Block is still wondering how it went from beacon to court case.
And I think that the experience that we have gone through, has, not lived up to that. And I'm disappointed by that. And frankly, very concerned about what's going to happen to the folks that are left at the Lighthouse.
The Lighthouse is back in court this week. Two board members are asking a Saskatoon judge to appoint a receiver to help manage its affairs. Without that help, they're predicting sweeping layoffs and an uncertain future. Board member Twyla Redekop says the Lighthouse books are a mess. She says tens of thousands of dollars are unaccounted for. Management is so bad, she says, the province is holding back its funding. In her affidavit, Redekop says no one is tracking the money in the payroll system called TelPay. There has been no documentation kept for payments through TelPay, so we have been having an extremely difficult time reconciling payments and actual expenses and determining the veracity of certain payments, including payroll amounts. This effort to secure a third-party manager comes after a year of staff upheaval, allegations of financial mismanagement and lost services. Now, none of the board members are speaking publicly about the latest court filing. A Saskatoon Court of King's Bench judge is going to hear the application this Thursday. Dan Zakreski, CBC News, Saskatoon.
If you've been in an airport in Canada recently, you may have noticed an advertising campaign promoting a Sustainable Saskatchewan. Adam Hunter has more on what's behind this $1 million ad campaign.
The Saskatchewan government is spending just over $1 million on this ad campaign. The Sustainable Saskatchewan website and digital media campaign launched late last year. And now ads like these are plastered on digital boards in 10 airports across the country.
We would invite Canadians to be equally as proud of not only what we're producing in this province, but how we are producing the products in this province. And so that is the outreach program that we are doing. You'll see it in virtually any airport, major airport across Canada.
Premier Scott Moe says the first wave of the ad campaign focuses on agriculture, but the campaign will also include other industries such as mining, potash, and oil and gas.
Producing potash with half the carbon content of our competitors in other areas of the world. These are strong numbers. These are numbers that I think we as Saskatchewan residents can be so proud of, and we'd invite all Canadians to be proud of it as well. So I would say it's more of an awareness, an investment in awareness to our fellow Canadians of what we're doing here and how we're doing it.
This is all part of the Sustainable Saskatchewan brand and the province's pitch to attract business.
If you're looking for opportunities to partner, innovate, and sustainably develop natural resources, Saskatchewan is the best place in the world to do it.
The University of Regina marketing professor says the province is hitting on an issue of growing importance.
It's certainly a requirement in this business climate to be committed to sustainability and to have, like I said, efforts, commitments and efforts toward that. And so I think it is something that if it doesn't generate new business, it's certainly going to keep existing business.
The Saskatchewan Environmental Society sent a statement to CBC. It says the ad campaign focuses on emissions reductions already achieved in agriculture, but not what still needs to be done. It says the government should aim to decarbonize our economy and achieve net zero emissions. It also says the province needs to cooperate more with Indigenous communities and the federal government. The Sustainable Saskatchewan campaign will run until the end of March. Adam Hunter, CBC News, Regina.
The annual flea market that is called CFL Free Agency opened up this morning with a flurry of activity. If you're a Rider fan, you will need to brush up on the roster before the season begins, especially on the offense. To no one's surprise, the Saskatchewan Roughriders have added veteran quarterback Trevor Harris. The soon-to-be 36-year-old was third in the CFL in passing yards in 2022, leading the Montreal Alouettes to the East Division final. He has 2 Grey Cups, including one with the Red Blacks in 2016. The Riders are his 5th CFL team. Joining Harris will be his now former Montreal teammate, receiver Jake Weineke. The 28-year-old from South Dakota State is entering his 4th season. He's already accumulated over 2,000 yards receiving and 21 touchdowns. Joining Harris and Weineke with the Riders are Canadian offensive linemen Peter Godber and Philip Blake. The Riders also signed Canadian receiver Juan Breskesen, return specialist Sean Bain Jr., and defensive tackle Micah Johnson returns for his 3rd stint with the Riders. The Riders see Cody Fajardo leave as he inked a deal with the Alouettes. Also departing for receivers in Shaq Evans, Duke Williams, Justin McInnes, and Kyron Moore. While the Alouettes settle in with their new quarterback, they have a bigger question yet to be answered. The team is searching for new owners. As Steve Rukavina reports, the CFL has stepped in for now.
The league issued a statement this morning saying it was taking over immediately. It says General Manager Danny Machocha will continue to build the team's roster for next season. And it says Mario Cecchini, who was let go by the previous ownership group last year, will return as interim president. This analyst says the move brings stability.
They're still going to have the chance to prepare for the 2023 CFL season. As today is free agency day, now they have the chance to sign free agents as needed, do whatever they have to do to put together a competitive team on the field.
It's been a rocky road for the team. The previous owners, 2 Ontario businessmen, Sid Spiegel and Gary Stern, took over in 2020. That was just before COVID hit and the 2020 season was cancelled. Spiegel died in 2021 and never got to see his team play, and Stern has since feuded with Spiegel's estate. The CFL says it's now looking for new owners, saying, quote, multiple parties have already expressed serious interest in purchasing the Alouettes, including individuals, groups, and businesses that reside or operate in Montreal or elsewhere in Quebec.
I think that's what's going to take to ensure the stability of this franchise for a long, long time. And that's really key more than anything else, is fans want to support this team. You can tell there's a lot of love for the Alouettes, but fans don't love knowing that the owner is going to disappear, or you can't sign players because there's not enough money, or any of these other things that are swirling about.
The Alouettes didn't waste any time signing veteran quarterback Cody Fajardo this afternoon. Steve Rukavina, CBC News, Montreal.
It is Valentine's Day today, a chance for some to celebrate love. Laura Sharpaletti brings us the stories of 2 Saskatchewan couples who say the pandemic accelerated their relationships.
It started off as the best date David Walsh had ever had. On New Year's Eve 2019, Walsh and Ivan Sloka went out together after meeting on a dating app. Fast forward to March, just as the pandemic was starting, Walsh was moving into a friend's house in Calgary. Then an ambulance pulled up and people in hazmat suits jumped out. One of his new neighbors had COVID-19 symptoms.
I was like, I can't go back in there. If I do, I'm going to be quarantined or I'm going to get sick. And so Ivan was like, well, I guess we live together now. You can come live with me.
They moved in together, and a few months later, Sloka had a job opportunity in Estevan. The couple decided to make the move together. Walsh says if it wasn't for the pandemic, the relationship would have progressed much slower.
It might not have been as successful. I'm not sure, just because my own insecurities or my own habits of backing down when I should have definitely gone more in, that could have occurred and it could have affected things.
Bailey and Jordan Braun say their relationship moved quickly too. They met on the dating app Bumble in July 2020, but Jordan lived in Moose Jaw and Bailey lived in Saskatoon. Because of the pandemic, Bailey's school went entirely online. That allowed her to move to Moose Jaw.
We were dealing with my father's ALS diagnosis and some other losses in the family. Like, because he was my person, he was in my bubble, he was just getting to know that information so much sooner.
The Brauns married in August 2022. So, if the pandemic had never happened, would Bailey be married to Jordan today?
I don't think we'd be married by now. The pandemic definitely helped us to get that quality time in that otherwise we probably wouldn't have. We'd be married in maybe a couple of years.
Walsh says the pandemic helped forge a deep bond that might not have existed otherwise.
There may be an element of closeness because of shared trauma. Pandemic has been really traumatic, and that I know that can bring people closer together.
Both couples are now proud of how their relationships grew out of a pandemic. Laura Sharpaletti, CBC News, Regina.
Flowers.
Okay.
We got
what about what
roses?
else is red?
You thinking roses?
Riders running back Frankie Hickson was spreading some love in Regina this afternoon. Hickson and his teammate wide receiver Braden Lennius stopped by the Valentine's Day party at the Renaissance Retirement Residence. The Riders played a trivia game with the seniors and talked football, and while most people were sporting red, there were a few partygoers in their green and white. We'll be back after the break. One of Canada's biggest retailers is effectively offline. A suspected ransomware attack almost a week ago knocked out Indigo's web business. Credit card and debit transactions are slowly coming back at stores. As Sophia Harris reports, cybersecurity experts say these types of attacks are becoming more common.
The popular carnival game is now available to play at home.
Gabe Lee is still waiting for the game he ordered from Indigo as a Valentine's Day surprise for his girlfriend.
It's pretty disappointing. I kind of hoped that it would arrive for my girlfriend and I to play.
Lee keeps checking his order status. Each time, he's directed to a notice saying Indigo has experienced a cybersecurity incident, which it's still investigating.
I don't know what's going on, and Indigo is not giving any information about what happened or what they're trying to do to resolve it.
The incident began nearly a week ago when Indigo's website and electronic payment systems crashed. In-store purchases are back to normal, but its online store is still down.
I believe it might be a ransomware attack because it's a large-scale attack that has taken many days to recover.
Ransomware is malicious software used by cyber criminals to lock files until the owner pays a ransom, sometimes millions of dollars. It has become one of the most popular types of cybercrime. According to a 2021 survey, 11% of Canadian businesses hit with a cybersecurity incident were impacted by ransomware.
It is too easy to do from home. Like it's such an easy way for a hacker to figure out how to crack a system. And we have things like artificial intelligence now that will actually write ransomware for you.
Paying ransom to cyber criminals can get costly, but so can running a business without a working website.
It's going to have an impact on their sales and reputation because consumers are really focused on the reliability of the site, and if they can't go on and surf it, guess what? They're not going to come back.
Experts say companies need to beef up their security systems because hackers are always hunting for new targets. Sophia Harris, CBC News, Vancouver.
This weather update is brought to you by the Capital Automotive Group. Trade and upgrade is on now.
Our weather specialist Ethan Williams joins me now. Who ordered the wind?
I think it's a Valentine's Day Cupid playing some tricks on us today, Sam. Yeah, been pretty breezy afternoon through much of the province as we've seen. And you know what? Hang on a second because, I think we're working. Maybe not. No, I think we have a bit of a battery issue here. I think you're not maybe able to hear me right now. So I'm going to step off to the side. We'll show you the wind speeds in the province at this moment. Around 50 kilometers an hour.
We'll come back after the break, and Ethan will bring you your forecast after this. Investigators are searching for the motive behind another mass shooting in the United States. 3 students were killed and 5 others were critically wounded at Michigan State University last night.
We mourn the loss of beautiful souls today and pray for those who are continuing to fight for their lives. Every Spartan student, parent, and staff member should know that Michiganders and Americans everywhere are thinking of you today.
The shooting broke out on campus a little before 8:30 p.m. local time. About 3 hours later, the gunman shot himself and died during a confrontation with police about 8 kilometers from university campus. The 43-year-old had no connection to the university. Ukraine is once again urging its Western allies to send fighter jets. The renewed calls come as Russia's invasion nears its first anniversary. Another issue NATO allies are dealing with is keeping up a steady supply of ammunition to help Ukrainian soldiers on the front lines. Abby Kugadassin reports.
As NATO officials gathered in Brussels to discuss further support for Kyiv, Ukraine's defense minister Oleksiy Reznikov joined them with a handkerchief featuring Kyiv's next major ask.
What's that? Do you see?
NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg says they'll discuss fighter jets over the 2-day summit, but the immediate focus is on quickly delivering weapons already promised to Ukraine. Minister of National Defense Anita Anand says the 4 Leopard tanks Canada pledged have now arrived in Europe.
Canada having 25 trainers on the ground right now training Ukrainian teams on the use of these tanks is extremely important.
Canadian trainers are working with Norwegian and Polish counterparts to train Ukrainian soldiers in Western Poland, soldiers who've been pulled from the front lines in eastern Ukraine to learn in mere weeks how to maintain and operate these combat battle tanks. NATO is also discussing ammunition and producing more of it as the war is depleting Western inventories. As the war grinds on, Ukrainian troops have been firing up to 10,000 rounds of ammunition every single day. That's what some small European countries used to order in a year. Many NATO members weren't meeting their stockpile targets even before Russia invaded Ukraine last February. The alliance had long focused on humanitarian and peacekeeping missions, not preparing for a war of attrition on European soil.
Nobody was expecting this mix of First World War and Second World War tactics. And so this basically led to everybody scratching their heads. What do we do now? We are not really that prepared for modern day conflict.
The U.S. has recently said it'll ramp up artillery production 5-fold in the next 2 years. Germany just signed fresh contracts to restart domestic production of ammunition Kyiv needs. The West believes the Kremlin is already starting to launch a major offensive, and NATO says it's now in a race of logistics to produce and deliver the necessary artillery to help Ukraine defend itself. Abby Kugadassin, CBC News, London.
This weather update is brought to you by the Capital Automotive Group. Trade and upgrade is on now.
Technical crisis averted. Ethan is back with a comprehensive look at your weather.
Batteries here. We're all good to go. So let's get into your forecast now. Let's start with a look at the winds. As we were mentioning earlier, quite a breezy day. Southeastern Saskatchewan gusts were up to around 60 kilometers an hour through much of the afternoon yesterday. And temperatures right now across the province, we're looking at minus 27. Very cold in Collins Bay. Maple Creek, that cold front has moved through, and our temperatures are yesterday they were around 5 degrees above zero through much of the province. That was our warm spot in Maple Creek, but today it's down to -8 with that cold front passing through, making things very chilly. This is how much temperatures have changed in 24 hours from 3 o'clock yesterday to 3 o'clock today. We're looking at roughly a 10 to 15 degree, even close to 20 degree change in 24 hours, especially in parts of the Churchill region where you saw that system move through yesterday. Now here's a pretty ugly looking system in the States, but thankfully this is going to stay away from us because we have high pressure which is blocking that off to our south south and east. Going to clear us out in the south tonight, but I think we'll see some increasing cloudiness, especially in central regions through the night, possibly some flurries throughout the south of the province tomorrow. High pressure moving into the north, keeping things very clear and very cold as well. We're looking for our next system moving in late Thursday, early Friday in the north. Now, in terms of winds, I think those are going to diminish from northwest to southeast tonight. Could still see some gusts in the southeast overnight. They'll pick up a little bit on Wednesday and Thursday, but really we're not looking for things all that bad. But wind chills tonight with a little bit of the wind picking up and a little bit of cold on the eastern side of the province. Could be close to -30. And could be closer to -40 in the far north, especially as we get close to the morning hours tomorrow. Now, things going to be staying, I think, a little bit on the chilly side for a lot of us, especially in the north over the next little while here. We had another ridge in the jet stream building in, but things are going to be sinking south again, pulling that cold air down with that cold front that has just moved through. And I think our warm air is going to be behind us for a little while here, as we'll see in our 7-day forecast in Regina. Again, temperatures about normal for the next couple days. Could see some flurries tomorrow, and then things warming up as we head toward the weekend, and then a cool down coming as we head through the end of the weekend and into the beginning of next week. I think that is about where we will bottom out, though. Saskatoon looking at a high of -12 tomorrow, and some sunshine, though, to wrap things up for the rest of the week. Could be a little bit breezy on Friday, some snow moving in on Saturday and Sunday before things clear out as we head through Monday and Tuesday. So the deep freeze, not really, Sam, but a little chillier than we've been used to.
It's still winter.
It is, yes.
Thanks, Ethan.
You bet.
And before we leave you, you might be planning a special date to celebrate Valentine's Day tonight, but it is Tuesday, so maybe you can't stay out too late. A new trend is popping up that helps partiers get home before midnight. Benit Brach explains.
It may seem like any late-night party, from the DJ, bright lights, to the booze. But all these guests share a goal.
A common denominator is that desire to be home early.
This is Home by Midnight, a group dedicated to parents and those who say they love to dance, hate clubbing, and need to be up at a reasonable hour.
So you can get home and get in bed by midnight. And then get up in the morning and be with your kids or take them to soccer practice or just, go about your day.
While in many clubs, the party starts late, here the beats are bumping, nice and early. These mums have waited months for a night like this.
We like to have fun, but we're all parents of children that are in elementary school, and we need to be home by midnight.
We really wanted to dance, but I don't know where we could go where we wouldn't feel like we're 1,000 years old.
Parents are letting loose, living their best life for the night, joining their closest friends.
Yeah, well, often, you get these opportunities at limited events, like weddings, and so you got to wait for a wedding before you get to go dancing.
Similar parties are also being hosted in the U.S. This New York Times article mentions Before Midnight, another event for music fans who are juggling children and careers. Meanwhile, this group started in 2018, and after taking a break during the pandemic, the dance shoes are back on, with parties every other month, and the guest list keeps growing.
We've sold out every night we've done this.
Their hope is to bring the party to other parts of the province. And while some of these parents are ready to call it a night, these party goers in the Granville Entertainment District are just beginning. Benit Brach, CBC News, Vancouver.
And that is it for us on Valentine's Day. For news anytime, you can head to cbc.ca/Sask or /Saskatoon or subscribe to the CBC Saskatchewan YouTube channel. Ethan will be back with more local news and weather tonight at 11. Thank you for watching and have a great night.